Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. How are we getting on? Welcome back to Tenpines Bluff. So, following on from the walls last week, we're going to work on this end of the settlement and seal up the remaining gap. And we're going to turn this destroyed house into a kind of command centre, sort of place for the commanding officer to be and planning strategy location, that sort of thing. So, on the whole, not too bad a build, reasonably quick and easy. Although the game, as per usual, did not want to cooperate. So here we're just going to drop the floors in. It actually fits quite nicely with barn and warehouse pieces, this one. But, initially I had planned to put the whole floor into place and then just group select it in, but due to pillar sinking issues and collision with the house that we're trying to repair, that was not so easy to do. So we'll just snap it in, and as it turns out that works pretty well. I did attempt to turn off Scrap That Settlement and see if that would make life a little bit easier for me, but strangely enough it actually made life more difficult. Because all of a sudden the pillar wouldn't sink any more easily for some weird reason. And all of a sudden the house became a weird mix of recognised and unrecognised, actually. USO recognised it, I think. But for some reason I couldn't even place things on the floor in there. So that plan went out the window. So, as I'm sure you guys are well aware, Bethesda's E3 conference is coming up on Sunday night, which I'm very much looking forward to. You can find out a bit more about Fallout 76. By some unusual miracle, I'm actually off work on a Sunday night, so I will be watching that one. So, as you can imagine, I'll be putting my thoughts and feelings up very shortly afterwards, hopefully Monday morning. So keep an eye out for that one, notification bell and all that stuff. By the way, that little bit there, I was having a bit of difficulty getting the wall to snap the right way around, so I just took that outer sort of balcony bit of floor off, snapped it in so it went the right way around, and then put it back. Problem solved. So yeah, obviously as I will be sitting around the house waiting for the E3 conference, which is 2:30 in the morning for me, I will need something to keep myself occupied during that period of waiting, so I will be live streaming again Sunday night, I think. Do keep an eye out for that one as well. Probably playing Conan Exiles again. Had a lot of fun with that on Monday night. So if you haven't checked out the stream there, you totally should do that as well. It was great fun. You know, not getting slaughtered by King Kong and his half a dozen friends on a regular basis, with, you know, notwithstanding. But it was a good laugh. Jumping into this. As you can see, it's going in nice and easy, just snapping. Also got the floor in place. It's a little fiddly to get that in, but it managed. So, obviously the house is basically a square, or rectangle, so a little boxy with this build, but a little bit of balcony, a little bit of overhang here, and gives it a little bit more life. So this is the relatively easy part, just snapping stuff together, the walls and stuff into place. But I also want to connect it to the walkway, so we'll have a look at that in just a moment. Here, as you can see, this sort of windowed wall piece doesn't want to snap in on the end. Thought maybe put these in and maybe that'll help, but it didn't. There we go. However, once we get the roof on, it'll snap to the left instead, so that solves the problem. And there we have it. So we'll pull that back out so we can get a clean line on where we want the wall to go, walkway rather, to go. Not such an issue on this side, but... So, one square's wide enough there. Well, two technically, but we already had one in place. So obviously, unsurprisingly, the heights don't quite match up. But dead simple solution to that. They're not far apart, so we'll drop a pallet in there, put the stairs on top of those, and we'll have ourselves a walkway. I made a slight mistake here that I thought it was worth leaving in. As you see here, the stairs want to go anywhere apart from where I want them, so they're snapping to the sides, and it's not going to sit on top of the pallet either. The snapping is what it is, I suppose, but the major reason it won't sit on the pallet is I've got the wrong one there. So, changed it out for one of the stackable ones. There's stackable and non-stackable ones in USO. There's a label for them. So you should be able to tell which is which. But I missed that little point, so swapping it over, the thing actually sits on the top now. And there we go. Voila. Nice and easy. Much the same principle as we've been using over the last video as well in this side. Again, we've got a much larger distance to go up here, so I'm going to drop a staircase in there. Snaps in nice and easily. And we'll group select this floor piece in now. Using warehouse pieces again, because it just makes things that bit easier when we've got the option. So it's higher than the standard wall piece height, so 2 pillars are needed to move this into place. Hop upstairs and we'll just line it up and move it into place. There's a slight issue with the fact I can't really see the bottom of the pillar here, and a little bit of collision with the floor piece that's standing on there. But a few adjustments and a bit of plywood will sort that out, no problem. So there we go. And once again, we're going to need a pallet and some stairs. With this one, in order to line it up, I really need the staircase there, but the pallet then pops up if you have it there. So we've got the pallet sitting on a piece of plywood that will basically do the same thing as the rug glitch. So we can grab that, move it into place as you've just seen, and then drop the stairs on top, and this should snap back in nice and easily. Voila! Sorted. So, just a little bit of plywood to go over the gap there so we don't plummet down to the ground every 30 seconds, which is what I was doing during the building. And there we go. So we'll snap that wall back in. And now we can go on and finish off this building. It's a noisy Brahmin clears off. So, going to snap that angled wall in, want a better word, just for something a little bit different. It's reasonably solid, given as we're on the back edge of the building here and the settlement. Some slight adjustments there so that we can get through the gap. Sorted. Nudge that bit back a bit for my OCD. There we go. So we've got a half-width section of roof missing at the moment, which is, as I'm sure you're well aware, an absolute nightmare to do anything about, because the game doesn't provide us with snapping pieces for that. So these flat roofs here are added by Custom Vanilla Assets. It's one of the pieces I use most often from that mod. There are a set of angled ones as well, but they don't quite fit if you do that, because they're the same size anyway, but the angle means the width is effectively less. However, putting a line of these in is quite a pain. They're difficult to get straight because the edges of the pieces aren't straight, apart from on the back edge. And obviously there's no snapping going on, so it's a case of doing it manually. So I came up with a little plan here that I'm quite pleased with. I've got those floor pieces you can see on the right, just stacked together to form a nice straight edge to use as a guideline. And then we'll just group select the back edge of these roof pieces against it, because it's the one flat surface on there, or flat side rather. So as you can see, just grab it with the group select to make sure we've got it the right way around. Fortunately the pattern makes that a little easier to see. Just hop up, just say line it up with the edge of the floor and with the edge of the piece we've got in already. Doesn't have to be absolutely perfect, but it's much more easy to get it closer to perfect this way. There we go, that's the full lot in. Whip those floors away. Obviously if I put it on the floor, then they would just drop down and go all over the place when I took the floors out, so have to use it as a guideline rather than actually placing it on. So part 2 of this bright idea I had was how we're going to group select it in. If you just use the pillar, then you've got to try and measure it and guesstimate the height you need. However, I use a shack wall, and that's already the right height. So, group select using that, get the whole lot upstairs, look at that. Perfect. Still a little difficult to get it into place because of the size of the thing. Seeing along all the edges is a bit challenging, but come down the end, line it up on the left-hand edge here, nudge it a bit forward so it matches up with the edge of the roof. There we go. Look at that. Spot on first time. Awesome. And a little celebration. One small error I did make was that I've put 6 roof pieces in there and I actually needed 5, because when I come through on the other end onto the walkway, your head hits the ceiling and you can't get through, so I have to take one of those out. Right now we're looking at some pieces from Toys Out of the Pram's supports mod that I was using quite heavily last week on the walls. And it's got quite a few bits of wall and barricade in there that's quite useful as well under the junk fences tab. So we'll drop a couple of those in to fill in the gaps in the railings here. This one's a bit awkward, so that'll have to do. And we'll fill up underneath. I'm just going to take a very quick look at this, as obviously we saw plenty of it last week. And this is a bit that I didn't show so much of, so you can see I just snap that warehouse piece in and then just plug the gaps. A bit of group select, the pillar's just behind the wall because the ground was being awkward. Move a piece in below. There we go. Wonderful. So, double height junk wall to make it look supported. We're going to put that on the back. So, reverse junk fence technique. Thank you very much, no respawns. So, I'll grab it with a tall pillar here. Move it into place. Line it up with the edge here. Drop it down. And there we go. Didn't actually realise here that I've used the one with the barbed wire in it, which wasn't the plan, but it looks alright, so... But just barely even noticeable, so... all good. So, I want to close off the balcony here. I want to make it look a little more military. Whereas it just looks sort of like a house right now. So we're going to group select some security fences along the front. Obviously these don't snap either. And the ground was being rather awkward around the other end, which is why I've chosen to just show you this end. And as you can also see, they are not quite tall enough to do the job, so we'll have to attach them at the top and come up with a way of sort of plugging the gap. And there we go. First, however, a little bit more set dressing. I'm going to use a couple of these barricades, guard post type things, again, added by USO. Some of them actually work as guard posts, so these ones don't. You could easily drop a guard rug behind it though, if you so desire, which I may or may not do. Rug glitch, and we'll just clip that through and make the thing look a little bit more military, a little bit more fortified. So we're just going to line it up in the centre. I'm actually going to push it forward a little bit more just to have that little bit of extra room inside here. Yeah, eyeball it and then adjust. Getting there. Nice. I'll just take a quick look at the other one. Rug. Drop it on the rug. Tweak. There we go. Second one's always much easier. Well, usually anyway. When the game wants to cooperate. I'm interested to see in Fallout 76 how they've improved on the building system that's almost certainly going to be in it. Because obviously there's still plenty of room for lessons to be learned from Fallout 4, but it was their first attempt after all. It'll be interesting to see if they get it a bit more right next time. So, plugging up the remaining gaps and making the balcony there look a little more supported. Just going to use some rug glitching with the sandbags here. Just the last major bit of the build. There's a couple of points here. Firstly, obviously the sandbags are a little too small for the job that we're trying to use them for, so we'll have to group select, well, rug glitch rather, multiple ones together. This end being the particularly extreme one. That Brahmin though. So, as we're clipping it through things, we will have to use the rug glitch, so there's one thing to bear in mind if you're using this approach and you're going to build next to it later on, which I'm not sure whether or not I'm going to do, how I'm going to approach it, we'll see what happens. So that obviously the rugs are going to remain in place. So you've got to be aware that they might get in the way later on. In this case, I was having a bit of an issue with sinking the pillar in, so I needed a bit of extra reach. So I went for this long, thin rug. Unfortunately, for some weird reason, whilst it worked with other things, the sandbags don't want to work properly when you put two of them on there. It'll rug glitch one but not the other. So, back to square one. We'll still use it to get the reach. I should say this technique works fine if you're not worried about the collision of the rug. If the rug itself is causing collision issues, because obviously we're bypassing the collision on the sandbags here and using the rug instead, then you need to use a chain of rugs rather than just one long one, which we'll see in just a moment. But for this particular placement, one does the job fine. Get that lined up. There we go, we need one more underneath there. Obviously now, with the other rug in that we've just used, we do have a collision issue with the rugs, so we'll do a short chain here. Just slightly hard to do with the invisible ones, but we manage. Get those lined up. 1, 2, 3. There we go. Grab the end one with the pillar. Effectively rug glitch the rugs. There's a mouthful for you. And problem solved, more or less. Sorted. So we'll snap a couple of steps on the front. I'm not actually going to complete the steps because I don't know whether or not I'm going to extend that floor. And finish the job off. Tour of the completed structure time. So I'm pretty happy with how it looks, despite the slight boxiness of it. It came out looking reasonably well fortified and reasonably solid for a command centre. I'm quite pleased with that. I had initially planned to keep that front middle section open, but it was just a little too open. I ended up not liking the way it looked, so we just snapped a warehouse wall in there and put an auto-closing security gate in there. There we are. As you can see, I've not completed the steps because I'm not quite sure what's going to happen out front yet. Hop up there. A little bit of storage out here. I may well put some guards out here later, we'll see. Take a look inside. Throwing a few rugs down, we've got a few weapons and some uniforms, that sort of thing. I did want some more kind of strategic planning type hardware, which I believe Toys Out of the Pram has a mod that might have been useful for that, but I haven't got that just yet. So we'll make do with what we've got. Little admin area. Communications console. We'll head on upstairs. A quick look out over the walkway. As you can see, we can now move all the way around the walls without actually having to come down off them if we don't want. And this is the CO's sort of quarters and office. So we've got a little bed on the end there. There's a footlocker just outside around the corner there. Sofa for chilling out on. Table for entertaining if he needs to. Or she. We'll see what happens with that. And a little bit of storage as well. Decided to go for the sort of the old-fashioned style desk there. It has got a name. Yeah, it escapes me for now, but the wooden one instead. Make it look a little bit more plush for the CO. A little bit, anyway. And there we have it. The power for the lights in this place is just coming off the generator that's underneath the lift in the tower there. So it's the nearest and simplest option. And we'll take a swing back outside. Well, thank you very much for watching as always, guys. It's very much appreciated. If you liked the video, I'm sure you know what to do by now. And if you'd like to support the channel a little more directly, you can sponsor me over on YouTube Gaming. You'll find all the information down in the description. It's very, very much appreciated. For now, thank you very much. I'll be speaking to you all very, very soon.